Hello everyone, welcome to the full moon in Aquarius, Monday, August 3rd, 2020, which is going to be tomorrow. Let's start with the high peak. The high peak is happening on the Pacific Standard Time at 8:58 p.m. and you have to check your own time zone, but Eastern time is 11:58 p.m. the Eastern Standard Time. So what I want to say is that I notice a lot of full moon activity during the waxing moon as the moon is getting closer to the earth. I think a couple weeks ago there was a flooding in a beach in California. I can't remember what beach, but you do notice the element of water and the effect that the full moon has on humans, but also on the earth, right? Animals as well, right? And the trees, okay? Plants, everything is affected. We're a part of the planet. Everything is energy. Energy never dies. So there we have it, right? Now, the biggest astrological aspect that I want to focus on is Saturn opposition of Mercury. So Mercury is all about communication, right? Gemini and Virgo are both ruled by Mercury, communication, air, okay? Messenger. And the moon was the old messenger. So the power of both, right, is very powerful for those signs, but also for everyone. And where's your Mercury in your chart? Where's your Saturn in your chart? Is Saturn in your fifth house? Then this moon will definitely strongly affect you, okay? So on this chart, we can't really see it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause and move it to focus on the bigger chart because I have both of the charts here. Okay, so we have the fifth house and we want to focus in on the fifth house here. Okay, so we can see the fifth house. We can see the moon. Okay, we can see that we have Saturn retrograde. And it's moving to the fourth house because it will circle around for the new moon coming up. It will be in Leo August 18th, and Saturn will be in the 11th house, but it's in the fifth house now. And depends on your location, it will move. But the energy is very strong for the fifth house, okay? And some of you might have the experience, of a little fourth house energy, depends on your location. So astrology, it can be really fine detailed depending on where you are, but we're rocking the fifth house energy, right? It's like this energy of creativity, okay? And let's vibe on the full moon, okay? What is the full moon? Let's start there. The full moon is new beginnings. It's new endeavors, new relationships. The full moon it's something new, okay? So let me back up. It's fulfillment of wishes that you want, right? Whatever that new beginning was on the new moon, the new endeavor that you were starting on the new moon, it should be completed on the full moon, or you should hit some realization, okay? However, whatever you've been working through, it is fulfilled on the full moon, right? It is now a more perfect understanding, okay? It's definitely a more perfect understanding of everything that you've been through, okay? And if you've accomplished your goal, then great. If you haven't accomplished your goal, right now you should be asking yourself, what do I need to change? Do I need to give up, or am I going about it a different way? Was I misled by something? Okay, so there's a lot of questions to ask self. But what is interesting is that the activity is strong in the fifth house at this full moon. But when the new moon comes around, the new moon's going to be in Leo. Okay, and it's going to be in the 11th house. So a good little clue to do and a cool thing to do is to see what the next moon is going to be and find out what the 11th house is going to be. It's kind of like you're really looking ahead, okay? You're really trying to find out, okay, I really got to do some work right now so that and this is how I'm taking it. There's many interpretation, but I got to do my 5th house work so that I'm ready for my 11th house debut into society, right? My, getting out there, right? Because the 5th house is Leo's house that we're in with a strong Saturn, okay? And Leo represents, for this 5th house, the 5th house energy is love, romance, love affairs, really, romance, play, creativity, right? Fertility, issues with children, or tapping into a childlike spirit. It could be joy, it could be self-expression, it could also be drama. Because it is Mercury in opposition of Saturn, there's a lot of drama. Okay, and why is that? Okay, if you're experiencing that. So let's look at an opposition meaning. There's tension. Okay, these 2 planets or 2 points are opposing each other. So it's known as a very hard aspect, a challenging aspect. So these energies are really not finding common ground, this aspect, right? It's deep tension. And the tension doesn't have to be from the main reason. It could be from a past reason, but there's still tension, okay? Frustration. And it needs to be unified, balanced. Some kind of solution needs to happen, or this energy is still going to go. And it's interesting that we're 11 degrees 45 minutes in this full moon, and Saturn will be in the 11th house. So I just find these little details for myself to really find the power in the number. So you can look at the numerology aspect of it. Okay, I want you guys to really understand the opposition. What tension do you have in your life right now? No matter what zodiac sign you are. What's the tension? What's the big issue? How can the 5th house help? Right? So let's look at the 5th house. The 5th house, like I said, is the house of children, the house of creativity. How can you use your creativity? Will being spontaneous help your situation? Will focusing on or creating the atmosphere of, hey, you should be enjoying your life, will that help? Is there any kind of drama going on? Why is there drama? Is it old wounds? Is there something that needs to be corrected? Something needs to be addressed? Self-expression. Okay, it's also the enlightened mind and the inner child. So here we go again with what we're going through right now with the virus or the protests, rights, whatever it is that's going on right now. How can the 5th house be utilized in your own personal life? And of course, the society life, if it's strong enough, and it usually is, whether someone wants to see it or not, it does affect the personal life, but we have our own personal power and we have to tap into that no matter who we are or where we live in the world. So how you choose to express yourself, your own personal talents or talent or power comes alive in the 5th house. So people with a strong 5th house in their astrology, whether it's a 5th house moon, 5th house sun, it can benefit you even if you have an aspect that brings you challenges. Sometimes you can have the best planetary alignments, but you were raised with people who are jealous or very not supportive. So it can affect your own energy, right? So we want to look at our 5th house and really empower ourselves. Saturn in the 5th house is being serious about your relationships. So some of you could be facing relationships where, there's a lack of something that is needed to make a good relationship, and that needs to be addressed. Okay. So we got to remember that Saturn is about reality, restrictions, rules, limitation. And we use so many words, right? In translating adulthood. I was like, adulthood. Yeah, I'm dealing with the requirements, the responsibility, not in me, in the relations to someone else, in really tapping into their adulthood, because we can be an adult all we want, but that comes with responsibility. So right down here in the chart in the 5th house, you can see Saturn in retrograde. Retrograde is having you sit back and really look at what it means, what Saturn means and what it means to you, and where is Saturn in your chart. You say to yourself, where is Saturn in my chart? How can I make this better? Adulthood is so important because when we have responsibilities, we can't just go and I really like this word. I've come to respect this word, lofty. You can have dreams and ideas, but you have to be careful, because that fairy tale pixie spirit is beautiful, but you also have to ground it so that you can be secure. You can have a foundation, discipline for Saturn, right? Organization, right? So Saturn can represent an elder, an older person in your life, a wiser person, a person of authority, or a person with power. So how is this affecting your life? How is someone else's Saturn affecting you? And where can you tap into your own personal Saturn, so maybe your actions, your reactions aren't going to make things worse for you? We have to remember that the moon, the moon being in the 5th house also is positive and emotional backing to support your creativity. So we're going to see in ourselves, in our own personal life and in the world, that people are seeking or receiving the emotional backing, right? So it's kind of like if you're hanging out and something happens and you don't have backup, you don't have your friends to back you up, you have to stand alone, and that's fine. Some of us are strong standing alone, but there's more power in numbers, right? So you need the need for a positive reinforcement personally, whichever way, to support you. So there's going to be a need for that. There could be a display for that. Okay. So that is really a powerful understanding. Okay. A powerful way of looking at this upcoming full moon, and really seeing, okay, how is the moon in the 5th house and how is Saturn in the 5th house going to affect me, and where is it in my chart? Okay. And what personal thoughts am I going through? What irritates me? What am I upset about? And what can I change in myself to really better me? Because Saturn is there to help us to really boss up on ourselves, right? And we're looking at the placement of this powerful energy right now, right? The full moon is really asking us to look at what we haven't done and what we need to do to achieve what we want. The full moon is about protecting our energy also. Even though we want to achieve all of our dreams, hopes, ideas, we want to feel fulfillment, we still have to protect our energy. So it's hard, it's easier to say, I want this, I want that. But it's harder to really look at ourselves and say, how can I change to make it better for me? Right? So I always say, look at the opposite sign, right? So Aquarius's opposite sign is Leo, right? So you can also look into that to empower yourself, right? We have to, we can't just stand alone on, okay, this is my Western sign. Okay, are you an Aquarius? Aquarius, what week were you born in? Because if you watch my previous video, and thank you everyone for the comments in the Ophiuchus video and another video I did, I can't remember which one, but thank you for all the comments. It does help the channel to grow in numbers, because I do want the channel to grow, and I love what I do, and to communicate with others and to really help you to use it in your life. That's what attracted me to it, is the fascination and the love for astrology and tarot and everything esoteric. So look over to Leo. We are in Leo season. Happy birthday to all the Leos. Okay, we are in Leo. Okay, and Leo is a sign of strength and fear and fearlessness. Okay, and that's admirable. Okay, so we have to look at the strength of air and fire. So let me get into air and fire. Okay, look into the strength of Leo. You do your own little research, see that. And especially if you're Leo, you can tap into this Aquarius moon. And everyone has Aquarius in their chart. So read what your chart is, what house, what sign is in your 5th house. Understand that. And then if you're basing your meditation, then you can base your meditation on that. Okay, so let's talk about meditation, because there's a few things to cover. So if you're doing a meditation, 11 is a powerful number in numerology. Okay, You can break it down to one, okay? Also, you can look at Jupiter, okay, being in Capricorn, and that was powerful Friday night, okay? Because Friday night, when I taught my sound healing meditation class, the energy of Capricorn, the root chakra, healing sounds for that. It covers work. Okay, Friday, the day, you can use Friday the day, a planetary hour for your meditation or your focus, right? The root chakra, a lot of things. It's so powerful and deep in detail. But even though we're in the full moon of Aquarius, the days leading up, that Capricorn energy was strong about society, organization, organizations, structure, businesses, the people that will hold power, the powerful organization of a system or a country. So that plays a part. And then the voice of the Aquarian mind, the childlike within. Aquarius are like, listen, I'm born into this time right now. Okay, I'm reincarnated in this time. And a lot of things are backwards. I'm trying not to curse. A lot of things are backwards. I'm spiritual, but I swear, okay? Because it's real. It's needed sometimes. You have to be true to yourself, but know when to switch up. Now, Aquarius is looking at this saying, okay, this Uranus energy, this triangle of Uranus energy, the sun and the moon is very powerful. You have your self-identity, you have your emotions, and you have the rebel, okay? So we are in a time of where we're not willing to put up with any kind of craziness. There is a rebellious spirit in Saturn, okay? There is a rebellious spirit in our time that we're in right now, okay? We are in a moment of really reflecting and seeing what we can do in a positive way, okay? So with let's bring it back before I go to Uranus. So let's look at the meaning of Saturn in opposition to Mercury, okay? Mercury is intelligence. So is Saturn, but Saturn is the wise woman or wise man, right? It already set up the structure, so you already know it's intelligent. So Mercury is intelligent and down to earth. This is very, very powerful. That's why it works. It's so associated with that Virgo energy as with Gemini, the air, right? But there's frustration and depression in this alignment with Saturn opposing Mercury, right? It's intelligence and down to earth. So it's really trying to get some kind of grounding thought form in its power, okay? So it's really trying to be grounded here, okay? And what it also signifies is frustration and depression. So like I said, who are you dealing with that is frustrating? Something is frustrating. There's an element of depression, of sadness, undealt issues, okay? And maybe there's a personality within you or someone that isn't really clear. So they're not natural person to get close to because there's a protective element there, a need to protect, okay? And not good at communicating through words. So that's going to be an issue as well, okay? Also, the element of fire. I noticed this a couple days ago while I was writing out the chart reading for this. It's an element of fire from past alignments. There's always fire or blood or kind of like that fighting energy, okay? This alignment is also about not listening. Maybe you are more powerful because you're an older soul reincarnated, and maybe because you really want things to be balanced, and the person you're dealing with might not be receptive to listening. So you have to realize that you can only say this is what I will accept and allow, but you're not there to teach the person or to make anyone better. That's their own personal work, their own personal timing. So there's an element of not listening. Not a good time to have a meeting with your boss. Their boss is not going to be willing to hear your ideas. So it's best to listen, be quiet, and choose how you're going to form your response. Maybe ask it in a question rather than saying, hey, I think this will be good. Maybe say, hey, if we do this, if we, figure it out. The big picture is what's important. So not a lot of bickering. Try to find common ground and the big picture, because all the little details doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what your sexual preference is, what your religion is. All these little things is little minor control. But what's the big issue? Oh, what's your favorite color? What's the big issue here? And a lot of things are more detailed, where you can spiritually align something even in color to have more power. Yes, but what I'm referring to is focus on the big idea. If you have an agenda, if you have something that is important to protect or to maintain for the greater good, right? At this alignment, it's really important to take time to think and to critical think. It's always good, but this is a great time to do that because it's needed, not because it's easy. And that's the thing. It's that Saturn is teaching us our responsibilities. And sometimes our responsibilities is definitely easier than our leisure and our pleasure, okay? So really focusing down here on our 5th house and making sure that, hey, is my Saturn strong enough? Is my emotion strong enough, okay, in the 5th house for me to go say, okay, how do I protect my home? This Uranus angle energy. How does this relate to my sun, myself? And the sun is in the 11th house in Leo. Another aspect, right? This triangle, okay? So we really have to look at the bigger picture. What aspects is going to affect you this full moon, okay? So we have to really sit down and not just say, okay, I'm watching a video to get all the information. There's also some homework in a positive way, for you to say, okay, I have to really understand myself, my chart, okay? I really have to understand what this means to me. Why is this important to me? Okay? So really sit with it, think about it, and really feel if the message resonates with you. And if it doesn't, then keep seeking, okay? So another thing I want to say about the triangle is that it's going to bring some kind of harmony, some kind of flow of creativity, and most importantly, confidence in this trine. And the power trine from the moon to the sun is Uranus, okay? And this confidence, this flow of harmony and creativity is people realizing, hey, we got to focus on the bigger picture, okay? So this is like a lot of reading coming into this. We have to focus on the big picture, okay? And looking at your Uranus, okay? Uranus is reflecting on what we don't like and what we don't want to put up with. Okay, it doesn't like restrictions, just like Saturn. It doesn't like restrictions. It will really laugh at a ridiculous idea. And being that we're in an Aquarius full moon, Aquarius can look at something, like I said before, and say, hey, this is old, this is outdated. And the most frustrating thing is, as a society, we don't make changes to say laws or anything like that until something bad happens, but we all can see, hey, something better needs to happen here to, protect a child or to protect this or whatever. But it's like cleaning, okay? If you're raised in a household where you're like, okay, you can get dirty and your immune system gets stronger, right? It's not about that. And I have to say that because on the internet, you'll always have someone, or in a family or a conversation, you always have someone pointing out the obvious. We're not talking about that. Sure, you need to get dirty sometimes and you'll build up your immune system for your environment, for the area you're from. We get it. We're talking about not being a nasty bleep bleep, okay? So it's funny how there's extra cleaning going on, but this should have always happened anyway. It's kind of like having relatives growing up in the medical field, and when OSHA comes around, everyone's like, oh, I gotta clean this, I gotta clean that. But the person I knew was like, I keep my place clean and organized all the time. And that was natural because that person's a Virgo, right? So they're like, I'm clean and organized, so I don't have to be worried and stressing out whenever they're going to come around and do the inspection. So do what you need to do. Okay. Right. So do what you need to do because it's what you need to do and it will cause you less stress. Not easy, but it's a good thing to try to uphold for yourself. Right. And this Uranus energy is also, hold on, I have to answer this. I'm going to pause. All right, so I had to pause for a second, but I want to say Uranus is about change and rebellion, and we know it's about reforming things, okay, and unpredictability too, okay. So it has a lot of meaning, but it's a social change, and Uranus is so powerful because and it rules Aquarius, right? So this trine is also powerful in this full moon in Aquarius, okay? And it's in Aquarius, and Uranus is in Taurus, okay? And Taurus is about home and family. So people are realizing that I'm not going to be bullied by anyone telling me, oh, don't think about this. Or people are going to wake up and say, hey, what happens outside of my home does affect what happens in my home. So everything is personal. Even if someone say, oh, it's nothing personal. And I know someone that would say, oh, it's nothing personal. Well, it's not personal to you, mofo, but it's personal to me, right? So, it's like, but how do you control that fire? How do you control that fire? Even though Aquarius is a water sign, the water bearer, it has strong emotions as an air sign, it still cares about evolving people to catch up with the times they're in. A lot of our structural system is old and outdated, but also the old is very powerful and always needed. What is old that is always needed? For me, that's manners and respect. That's organization. It's a lot of ancient teachings. Will never be outdated, but some practices can be what's outdated: being greedy, being selfish, being unorganized, right? That just leads to chaos. So right now, any form of chaos is bringing things back into balance, but there doesn't need to be too much chaos. But what happens is the restriction to a positive change or a positive upgrade. And Aquarius is like, hey, I'm going to laugh at any kind of BS that I know is outdated, or it's not balanced, it's not fair. My self identity doesn't like it, and my emotion doesn't like it. And Uranus is like, hey, what you're doing is affecting my home. Hey, this is something that is powerful, that is an expression, a thought, a way of being that needs to change. Okay, so let's look now at, I'm not going to do it in the birth sign because that's going to go all over the place, but let's bring it all home now. So we want to look at what is opposing us, what is against us, right? Or we perceive to be against us. What is right in front of us, no matter how far away it is, but it's close, but it's right in our space, right? And it's something that's not going away. So let's look at the moon. The moon is our emotions, right? And we need to refresh our mind. We need a reminder. We need a refresher. Our soul needs guidance for our life, right? And our emotions, it's powerful. So we have to be mindful of not acting in chaos, but within that chaos, find our center, find our balance so that we can really tap into the Saturn energy. All right. So, making sure that this triangle power is used in the best way. Make sure that our fire within is strong enough to handle our life experience and also the physical fires. Look at where the physical fires are happening. Why is it happening there? Is it deliberate? Is something needs to change? Is it, why did it happen? Is there something to learn from it? It's always working together. It's always really looking at what is not being shown, looking at the distraction, and then say, hey, I'm going to look the other way. We always have to do that, right? So how can we utilize our Saturn in the 5th house? How can we utilize our Aquarius energy? All right. And how can we make this better for us? I'm not sure what I'm going to title this video, but I will find the title. But I feel like we really want to make that positive change within ourselves. And it's a lot of deep thinking in the mind. It's a lot of deep thinking to then project this, this new understanding, right? Finding that balance and that future mind think, that present mind think for a better future, and using our creative power to really get that message across, leading up to a new fresh start for the new moon. So I hope you guys enjoyed this full moon. I hope that you did achieve some kind of goal or some new enlightenment and some new fulfillment happening. So as always, 3 days before the full moon, the date of the full moon and the date after the full moon, a lot of powerful changes. Thank you guys so much for watching this reading. I'll try to come on again and make another video if I feel, whatever I feel guided to intuitively. Leave your comments, that help. Click like, share. It really helps the channel. Thank you all for watching. Peace.